have some 2025 updates for the Saie foundation and the RDF Weightless 3-Drop foundation. I've tested both of these, so you don't have to. I'm gonna break down the key differences between these two foundations. You can find full scorecards by clicking in the description box below, and you can get all the details, demos, wear tests, things like that for each of these. So often I feel like comparison is one of the best ways to figure out if a product is right for you or not. The Rituel de Fille foundation, it's that 3-drop foundation. It's $42, vegan, cruelty-free, gluten-free, and it has 24 shades available. I have shade Potion 125. They're very into the witchy vibes, and I love that. The Saie foundation, I panned this, by the way. This one I love, the RDF. We're going to say that instead of Rituel de Fille. We're lazy. I'm lazy. But I just did not like the finish from the Saie the original time. I have retested it, and I'm really glad I did because I have updates for you here. This is $40. This is cruelty-free, Sleeping Buddy certified. 36 shades are available here, so it has more shades. And I have shade 8. Take some of our current makeup off. Shall we? All right. So the formula for the RDF, it has the first of its kind carotenoid. You can look that up on my scorecard or their site. It's really supposed to brighten, soothe, and protect against free radicals. This one has a few organic ingredients, not all organic ingredients, but I love seeing that. And there are currently no silicones. I don't know why I'm only taking it off on one side of my face. We're going to do the whole thing. Saie foundation, kind of more in line with what you see out there. Squalane, sodium hyaluronate, which is in pretty much everything. I do see silicones, film formers. So this has a little bit more of that going on. I would say the RDF is a little bit less complicated. We'll use the word complicated. I do not see any organic ingredients in Saie. So I think people who are looking for a cleaner, not a regulated term, natural doesn't always mean better, but people who are looking for things that don't have film formers in there, they're not always a bad thing. They can really make application beautiful, but sometimes they can upset the skin. It's very personal. In terms of packaging, Saie wins on this one, by the way. So RDF, mixed materials. They do sustainably source the carotenoid. I might be saying that wrong. There's no information about post-consumer recycled material. It might have been on their box packaging. I don't have that anymore, and I couldn't see it on their website. I usually reach out to the brand about this. Black plastic is a big thing for them. That's part of their branding. It's really hard to recycle. I would love if they would reconsider. They're probably not going to, but really hurting them on the sustainability front. I would say prefer those ingredients, but not so much their sustainability. Whereas Saie is doing all the things. They're speaking about it very clearly. I love when this information is on the product page, so it's easily accessible for the consumer. We've been focused on ingredients, which are important for years now, ramping up for clean beauty. It's now kind of becoming the norm, I hope, but we have totally dropped the ball on eco-friendly packaging for a lot of the ones that are clean beauty. Do you know what I mean? Then there's the commercial people who just don't talk about any of it. But Saie uses a glass container. They use post-consumer recycling. They tell me what it's made of so I know how to recycle it. I don't feel like that's a big reach. Is that important to you? Is that something where like, I don't want to have to think about it? Just tell me what I need to do to recycle this appropriately, knowing that recycling is really messed up. There's no perfect answer. So in terms of application, these are the 3 brushes that I've used in the past. This is actually a blush and bronzer brush from Fit Glow. I still like it. It's dense, but it's softer. Then you have these 2 puppies. This is from BK Beauty. This is their viral. Viral doesn't mean good all the time, but in this case, it does. 101 brush here. This is really nice for covering a lot of surface area. And I just bought this one. It's the baby. It's the baby to this one. It's great. And I was curious about it. Normally, I prep the skin with a sunscreen, tinted, glowy sunscreen. I'm not going to do tinted, but I'll do glowy. I also prep in the morning with a whole routine of like gua sha, Solar Wave wand because I'm testing that. So my skin is like bouncy and ready to go by the time I'm applying. And I have to tell you, with serum foundations and potentially dry skin, combination skin, that is a must in my opinion. That is part of application. And when I first was trying these, I was using this brush and I used the sponge. I now do not recommend the sponge. I don't even know why I did recommend the sponge because these are more on the watery side. They're not totally wet, but you know, they're more on the watery side. So I've ditched this brush, which I love for other foundations, by the way. I'm going to use the fuller sized foundation brush for the Rituel de Fille. Shake it up, I never needed 3 drops, but you press the bottom. I'll put them in here for the purposes of this video. And there you have the formula doing its thing. Then I just press my brush into the back of my hand, which some people have an issue with. Just do what works for you, you know? Notice I'm not swirling. Swirling did not work for me on this one. That's actually why I love this brush. It's look at how well that's evening out, right? It's dense. It keeps the product kind of going everywhere. Does that make sense to you? It makes sense to me, but I don't know. Sorry if that doesn't make sense to you. Works the product into the skin, but it doesn't lift it up. It just works. Let's just say it works. I can be a little bit more forgiving for some reason. My cheeks. And then, I just like work it into the nose. And there you have it. I don't need to build this. I don't like to build this actually. And you're going to see a glow. So we're going to do a little bit of a glow off, if you will. But application is pretty simple here. Again, on prepped skin, it works best per the norm. And I do get a medium level of coverage, which is what they claim. So for Saie, this is what troubled me so much. It like failed in 2023 and now it's so different. Just goes to show you. Tried this with the Fit Glow brush. I tried it with the BK Beauty Big Boy brush, and that's not a technical name. And now I'm gonna try it with the baby, little baby. I'm gonna use a pump of this, and it is less watery. I would say it's a little bit creamier, still on the wet side, but easy to work with. Pressing the brush into it. Why this brush does what it does when even the Fit Glow brush couldn't do it last time, I don't know, but I'm just going to press it in and look at the viewfinder here. As you can see, that was one pump. One little pump. And look at that coverage. I got distracted again because I'm still like, how is this working so much better now than it used to? I don't know. Could it be just because of the brush? Maybe I've improved my skin barrier and the finish is better. But I love that you can see the side by side here. The coverage I feel on the Saie is a little bit more opaque, a little bit stronger, but you tell me what you see. Sometimes I say that and people are like, no, I think the other one's stronger. So that's fine though. I love to, get the other perspective here. It's very lightweight, and something about maybe the smaller surface area with this is working in my benefit, is working in my favor. I don't know. I don't know why, but I'm not mad at it. And then we have the glows, but really pressing in was key for me. Prepping the skin was key for me. And my whole opinion of the finish on this is changed. That's why I had to do an update over here. Finish comparison, right? So before I saw a little bit more gathering from Saie, maybe some sitting on top, maybe some gathering here, things like that. Right now, I'm seeing a glow from both. When I look up close in the lighting here, what I see is like more of a blurring that's coming from Saie. In terms of touch test, the RDF feels a little bit more wet, a little bit more shiny. Getting a glow from Saie, it's still shiny, but I'm getting more of a shine from the RDF. So the finishes are pretty different. I think with dry skin, you might prefer the RDF. I'm not sure. It just depends on what you want. Overall, I would want to really set this one. This is the RDF. The Saie, I could go out without it set. I probably want to set it too. So I'm just using a very light translucent setting powder here. I like to use something with silica. It just melts a little bit better. Cornstarch, anything like that is very drying on my skin, but it might work for you. And then I'll just press it in. And that really mutes the shine well. Also gives you a little bit of blurring if you need it for the RDF. I do believe that the RDF works better with the powder, mutes the shine, it blurs it a little bit. The Saie doesn't necessarily need the powder. I think it looks a little bit more opaque, just slightly more like I'm wearing more makeup, if you know what I mean, texture-wise. But it's not feathering, it's not polka dot pouring on me. It's doing a really good job. It depends on what you're looking for, but between the two, it'll probably hopefully help you lean towards one versus the other based off of what I just said. I'm just gonna pop some bronzer on while I talk about the wear test, final scores, final verdict, things like that. In terms of wear test, For the RDF, the coverage stayed very well for me. The finish, however, which is weird because this is like a kind of switcheroo. So what I noticed with the RDF, even with setting, was it got way more oily in my T-zone, and I don't have a super oily T-zone. So it wore a little oily on me, and I would have to add more powder. Not the end of the world. It needed help there, but on the cheeks, it actually would start to kind of dry, not feel dry, but it would dry out there. So it almost looked drier here and oily here. It was just kind of weird how it was working with my skin. Coverage, however, was great. And like I mentioned, that was with setting it. In terms of the wear test for the Saie foundation, that didn't change from the last time. The one thing that I noticed when I first tested it was I didn't like the finish at first. And then when I looked at the wear test by the end of the day, I was like, oh, wait, the finish is okay, because it was one of those where it works with the oils of your skin if you have drier skin. Didn't feel dry, didn't feel heavy, didn't get an oily T-zone from using that one. But I do like the coverage of the RDF quite a bit. It's a softer looking coverage on light coverage days. I think that really fits the bill. Scores were really not that different. So RDF was a RDF was a 15 out of 20. And the Saie is a 16 out of 20 now. So that score went up, shockingly, not shockingly. I'm just really, really surprised at how the Saie is now performing. I feel like it's doing a much, much better job. They're both really strong. I usually battle one favorite versus another. The RDF was a previous favorite of mine. It's not right now. I think it's because of that wear test and the finish being a little bit off, but also because I happen to love the Juice Beauty foundation, also a serum foundation that I didn't talk about here. If you want to see my current favorites, you can check them out. They're going to be back on Britt's picks. And don't forget to tell me, which is your pick? Is it the Saie? Is it the Rituel de Fille? Were you on the fence and now you're going to pick one? Or do you want neither? Are you like, no, I don't want any of these? You can join the community over there on the newsletter. It's free, and they're getting first dibs on my promo codes, which really do change all the time. New reviews, new launches, all of it's there. Again, you can sign up by clicking the link in the description, or you could dig around on the playlists over here and check out more foundation reviews and see if you can find a better option. Bye.